The women's changing room at the Riverside Sports Center buzzed with the usual late afternoon chatter. Locker doors clanging, showers hissing, hairdryers roaring. In the middle of all the noise, a single figure moved with quiet purpose. Rachel Hale, gray-streaked hair tied in a low bun, worn gym bag over her shoulder, stepped inside with the calm presence of someone who had spent a lifetime walking into places far more dangerous than this. No one knew that, of course. To the regulars, she looked like any older woman trying to stay in shape, dressed in simple workout clothes, eyes soft yet observant. Across the room, 3 young women, Tara, Jenna, and Mika, noticed her immediately. They exchanged smirks. "Look who's back," Tara whispered loudly. "Grandma Fitness." Jenna snorted. "Bet she still uses VHS workout tapes." Rachel heard every word, but she didn't flinch. She simply opened her locker, placed her bag inside, and went about her routine with deliberate, almost meditative precision. Her breathing slow. Her posture perfect. It was exactly that calmness that irritated them. "Hey," Mika called out, stepping closer. "You deaf or something?" Rachel turned her head slightly. Her eyes were steady, unreadable. "I heard you." Something in the tone, polite, controlled, made Tara's jaw tighten. "Don't get smart with us." A few women nearby glanced over, sensing tension thickening in the air. Jenna strutted forward and yanked the towel from Rachel's hands. "Oops," she said mockingly. "Butterfingers." Rachel didn't snatch it back. She didn't even move. She simply watched the 3 of them the way a seasoned diver watches a shifting tide, measuring distance, angles, timing. Her eyes flicked briefly to the ceiling vent, the floor tiles, the exit. A habit she had practiced for 20 years. Know the environment before the enemy. The bullies misread her stillness as fear. "Say something," Tara taunted, stepping close enough that Rachel could feel her breath. But Rachel only inhaled, slow, controlled, the breathing technique she once used before breaching enemy doors. A hush spread through the room as more women sensed something was wrong. Why wasn't she scared? Why was she so steady? When Tara reached forward and pressed a hand against Rachel's shoulder, Rachel finally spoke. "You don't want to do that." The room froze. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was a warning, quiet, precise, and terrifyingly calm. For a moment, Tara hesitated. Rachel's warning wasn't loud enough for anyone else to hear clearly, yet something in the tone made even Jenna and Mika shoot quick glances at each other. But ego is louder than instinct. "Oh really?" Tara sneered, pushing harder on Rachel's shoulder. "And what exactly are you gonna do?" Rachel didn't move, didn't blink, didn't rise to the bait. She simply breathed. Slow intake, slow release. The kind of breathing someone masters only after years of learning to control adrenaline, fear, and the impulse to strike first. Jenna, growing irritated by Rachel's lack of reaction, slammed a locker door shut, just inches from Rachel's face. The sound thundered across the room. A few women gasped. Rachel didn't flinch. That unsettled them even more. "Are you, like, frozen?" Mika mocked, waving a hand in front of Rachel's eyes. "Hello? Earth to Grandma?" Still nothing. Just that unnerving composure. Jenna stepped behind Rachel, leaning in close. Maybe she's scared stiff. But Rachel's eyes were scanning, subtly, almost imperceptibly. Foot spacing. Balance points. Where weight was shifting. Where an arm might swing from. Where a chokehold might initiate. It was the analysis of someone who had spent 2 decades reading danger like a second language. Across the room, a girl by the benches whispered, "Why is she not fighting back?" Another replied, "Because she's not scared." The bullies didn't like that. Mika reached out first, jabbing a finger at Rachel's arm. "We're talking to you." Tara followed, stepping closer until their faces were inches apart. "Say something." Rachel finally spoke softly. "I've asked you to stop." "Oh." Tara smirked. "What happens if we don't?" Rachel tilted her head. Her voice remained quiet, controlled. "Then you'll force me to react." The sentence wasn't delivered as a threat. It was a fact. A description, like someone explaining gravity or weather. "React." Jenna laughed. "Lady, you can barely lift a dumbbell." The 3 bullies burst into hysterical laughter. Other gym-goers didn't laugh. They watched the scene with uneasy silence. Whispers spread. "She's too calm. She's analyzing them. She's been trained." Jenna suddenly lunged forward and shoved Rachel with both hands. Rachel staggered back only half a step, not nearly as far as Jenna expected. Her feet planted, stable, grounded. It was the posture of someone who had trained for balance on rocking boats, unstable terrain, and under fire. Tara's eyes narrowed. Something was wrong. Something about this woman wasn't normal. But they pushed forward anyway, completely unaware that they were provoking someone with 20 years of elite combat training. And Rachel was running out of patience. Jenna's shove triggered something. Not anger, not fear, memory. As Rachel steadied herself, her eyes softened, unfocusing for a moment. The humid air of the changing room faded. The clanging lockers dissolved. And suddenly she was hearing a different kind of metal slam. A hatch. On a military transport plane. 20 years earlier. Flashback, 20 years ago. The roar of the engines filled her ears as Petty Officer Rachel Hale, younger, sharper, shoulders squared with the weight of the gear strapped to her chest, checked her equipment one last time. Her teammates sat beside her, all hardened, all focused. They wore night visors and painted faces. She wore the same calm expression she would still carry decades later. "Ready, Hale?" Chief Maddox shouted over the wind. Rachel nodded once. "Always." The red light above the hatch blinked. A mission into hostile territory. A hostage extraction. Minimal intel, maximum risk. Exactly the kind of mission where fear ended careers, or lives. But Rachel wasn't afraid. She had learned to quiet every instinct except the one that mattered. Complete the mission, protect the team, get everyone home. The light turned green. She moved first. Flashback, Desert Storm operations. Another memory collided through, sandstorms so thick they felt like walls, the sting of wind cutting across her cheeks, the distant rumble of artillery. Rachel led a small team through ghost-like dunes to retrieve an injured pilot. It was supposed to be a 2-hour extraction. It turned into a 9-hour survival march. She carried the pilot on her back for 3 of those hours. Her commanding officer later said, "You broke every limit and then acted like you didn't have any." She responded the same way she always did. With a quiet nod. Flashback, the capture attempt. But not all missions went clean. Rachel remembered hands grabbing her from behind in a dark alley during an urban op. The chokehold had been sudden, brutal, meant to kill. Her vision blurred. Her knees buckled. But training took over. She dropped her weight. Pivoted. Snapped the attacker's elbow. Neutralized 2 more in the same narrow corridor. She survived because she learned long ago that panic was the enemy's greatest ally. Calmness, controlled, calculating calmness, was her weapon. The same calmness she carried today. Back to present, changing room. The flashbacks dissolved. The fluorescent lights returned. And Rachel was once again staring at 3 gym bullies who thought they were dealing with someone weak. They had no idea they were taunting a woman who had infiltrated enemy compounds, survived ambushes, fought underwater, lost friends, saved strangers, earned respect from warriors across the world. The calmness they mocked was not age. It was discipline forged in combat. Rachel exhaled slowly. She had been through real danger. This was nothing. Yet the room could feel it. She was a storm disguised as silence. The energy in the changing room shifted. Sharp, electric, uneasy. Rachel's eyes had returned from somewhere far away, and something about her focus made even the audience feel a chill. But Tara, Jenna, and Mika were blinded by ego. "Enough of this," Tara snapped, grabbing Rachel's wrist. "You're gonna talk to us." Rachel didn't pull away. Didn't resist. Just watched Tara's fingers snake around her arm, studying the grip, the angle, the tension in Tara's shoulders. Mika stepped behind her. "Hold her still." Before anyone could react, Mika's arm wrapped around Rachel's neck. A choke. A real one. Gasps exploded across the room. "Whoa, stop. That's too far," someone cried. But it was too late. Pressure tightened against Rachel's throat. Mika grinned viciously, thinking she had finally broken the quiet woman's composure. Rachel didn't struggle. Not for a second. Instead, her hands rose slowly, calmly, like she was adjusting a seatbelt. "Let go," she said quietly. Mika laughed. "What are you gonna?" Rachel moved. Not wildly. Not angrily. But with the clean precision of someone who had practiced this motion thousands of times. She trapped Mika's choking arm between her shoulder and jaw. Shifted her weight. Dropped her center of gravity. Rotated just enough. And suddenly Mika was airborne. The bully hit the tile floor with a heavy, humiliating slap, air bursting from her lungs. She rolled on her side, choking on her own breath, stunned. The entire room froze. What just happened?" whispered a woman near the showers. Rachel hadn't even broken a sweat. Tara lunged at her in blind panic. Rachel stepped aside, caught Tara's momentum with a single palm, and guided her directly into a row of lockers. The impact echoed like a rifle shot. Jenna came next, trembling but furious. You attacked us. Rachel didn't even look at her. Walk away. Jenna swung anyway. Rachel caught the punch mid-air. Held it there. Unmoving. Her grip tightened just enough to make Jenna's knees bend. You don't want to do this, Rachel said, voice controlled, almost gentle, yet terrifying. Silence suffocated the room. The bullies, who minutes ago thought they were in control, now trembled in the presence of someone who had neutralized all three without a single wasted motion. The crowd stared at Rachel like they were seeing her for the first time. Something was wrong. Something was different. This woman wasn't just fit. She wasn't just calm. She was trained. Highly trained. Dangerously trained. And everyone knew it now. The aftermath of the takedown left the room in stunned silence. Mika lay on the floor wheezing, Tara leaned against the lockers trying to understand how she got there, and Jenna clutched her wrist like it no longer belonged to her. But Rachel? She simply stood still, breathing slow, expression composed, like the storm inside her had already passed. Then, bam. The changing room door slammed open. 2 gym employees burst inside, out of breath. We heard screaming. What's going on in here? The manager demanded, scanning the tense scene. Before anyone could answer, Tara pointed a shaky finger at Rachel. As she attacked us. Mika coughed in agreement. She slammed me, she's crazy. Jenna, still clutching her arm, nodded quickly. Yeah. Arrest her or something. The crowd murmured, uneasy. Several women spoke at once. She didn't start it. They grabbed her first. They were choking her. But the bullies shouted louder. The manager raised both hands. Everyone stopped talking. One at a time. What happened here? Rachel didn't speak. She didn't defend herself. She just folded her hands calmly in front of her, waiting. Something in her silence, her controlled breathing, her squared but relaxed stance, made the manager hesitate. Before he could question her again, a voice came from the entrance. Excuse me, what's happening here? Everyone turned. A tall man in his late 50s stepped in, wearing a worn Marine Corps cap and carrying a water bottle. He wasn't staff. He was just another gym member, one who must have heard the commotion. But his eyes widened as soon as he saw Rachel. His bottle slipped from his hand, clattering onto the tile. Oh my God, he whispered. Ma'am, is that really you? The room froze. Tara frowned. Who is she, your grandma? The man didn't even look at her. He stepped closer to Rachel, slowly, respectfully, like he was approaching a monument, not a person. I trained with SEAL teams years ago. His voice trembled. I know that face. I've seen it on a wall at Coronado. You're Commander Rachel Hale, aren't you? Gasps rippled across the room. The bullies paled. The manager blinked. Commander? As in military commander? The veteran nodded firmly. Navy SEAL. 20 years. One of the best to ever serve. Silence fell so thick the air felt heavy. Tara stammered, a Navy SEAL? Sure. Jenna shook her head violently. That's impossible. But the man's eyes didn't leave Rachel's. Ma'am? I never thought I'd see you in person. Rachel still said nothing. Just a faint nod, humble, quiet, almost reluctant. The truth was out. And the room would never look at her the same way again. The room felt different now, heavy, respectful, hushed. Even the air seemed to stand still as the Marine veteran stepped forward, almost reverently. The manager swallowed. Commander, is that true? Rachel finally spoke, her voice steady but low. I'm retired now. Just Rachel is fine. But the title hung in the air like a phantom everyone could still see. Tara's bravado evaporated. Mika pushed herself up from the floor, eyes wide. Jenna's grip on her wrist shook. No way, Tara whispered. She's lying. But the veteran cut her off sharply. You don't lie about serving as a SEAL. And you definitely don't lie about being her. He turned to the manager. Check her name. It'll match. I promise you. The manager took a breath, pulled out his tablet and typed quickly. Seconds later, his eyebrows shot upward. His voice went soft. Rachel Hale. Navy SEAL. 20 years. Classified operations. Multiple commendations. Medal of Valor. Gasp. Whispers. Suck. The bullies staggered backward like the truth itself had hit them. Rachel didn't gloat. Didn't smirk. Didn't say I told you so. She simply stood there, quiet as a steady heartbeat. The manager looked at the 3 young women, face darkening. You assaulted a veteran. On camera. In my gym. Jenna's voice cracked. We didn't know she was. Rachel raised a hand. You shouldn't need to know someone's past to treat them with respect. Her tone wasn't angry. It was disappointed, and somehow that hit harder than any lecture. Mika wiped her eyes. We were just messing around. You choked me, Rachel said calmly. That's not messing around. The room agreed with her silence. The manager exhaled sharply. You three are suspended. Effective immediately. And depending on what security footage shows, there may be more consequences. Tara looked like she might collapse. Jenna hid her face. Mika stared at the floor, trembling. The veteran stepped closer to Rachel, his voice thick with gratitude. Ma'am, after everything you've done for this country, you deserve better than this. Rachel gave him a gentle, humbled smile. I didn't tell anyone who I was because I'm not looking for attention. I came here to exercise. Nothing more. But why didn't you fight back sooner? Someone asked. Rachel turned to the room. Because fighting isn't the first answer, she said softly. It's the last one. The lesson echoed across the tiled walls. Simple, powerful, undeniable. Respect. Discipline. Humility. Strength without ego. In that moment, even those who had only watched silently felt changed. Rachel hadn't just defeated 3 bullies. She had reminded everyone what real strength looks like. Not loud. Not flashy. Not cruel. Quiet. Steady. Earned. The gym slowly returned to its usual rhythm. Showers running, hairdryers humming, lockers clicking open and shut. But the atmosphere wasn't the same. Not after what everyone had witnessed. Rachel changed calmly, without hurry, as if nothing unusual had happened. She packed her simple gym bag, tied her shoes, and headed toward the exit. People stepped aside, not out of fear but out of respect. The Marine veteran followed her to the doorway. Commander, if you ever need anything at all, this community's got your back. Rachel paused, offering a faint smile. That means more than you know. But I'm fine. Really? You shouldn't walk out alone after all that drama, he said softly. Rachel chuckled. I've walked out of far worse places alone. He laughed under his breath. Yeah, I suppose you have. With a respectful nod, he let her go. Rachel stepped out into the cool evening air. No applause. No spotlight. No cameras. Just a quiet woman moving through the world the way she always had. Unnoticed, uncelebrated, steady. The sliding doors closed behind her. A week later. A small crowd gathered around the entrance of the women's locker room. A new plaque gleamed on the wall, simple, elegant, surrounded by a thin navy blue border. Red. In honor of Commander Rachel Hale. Navy SEAL, 20 years of service. A reminder that true strength is often unseen. Gym members stopped to read it. Some nodded in silence. Some whispered the story to newcomers. She was attacked. She didn't hit back. She only defended herself when she had no choice. And she was a SEAL. 20 years. The legend grew, passed from treadmill to treadmill, from locker to locker, from one gym goer to the next. And with every retelling, the lesson thickened in the air. Respect isn't about age. Respect isn't about looks. Respect is earned, and deserves to be given. As for Tara, Jenna, and Mika, their suspension held. They returned weeks later quieter, humbler, changed in a way only a hard lesson can shape someone. They never spoke to Rachel again. They didn't need to. Her silence had said everything. Final closing line. Like, share, and subscribe for more Silent Valor stories, where ordinary moments reveal extraordinary lives.